Hey, what's up guys? I'm Justin, KQ4CIA. This is Blackbeard's Radio. Today we're coming to you from my QTH in my shack. And if that just confused you, then just hold on for just a second and I'm going to get into it. Sometimes in ham radio we use abbreviations, and remember the foundation of ham radio comes from way before me as a ham, since I've only been licensed for 5 months. But it starts in CW or Morse code. And everybody's pretty familiar with Morse code when it comes to SOS. You know, it is 3 short signals of dit, 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 and then that's S, and then 3 long for O, and that is da, 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 and then 3 more short dits for another S, dit, dit, dit. So SOS's Morse code is dit, 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 da, 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 dit, dit, dit. And Morse code is something that just fascinates me. I hadn't gotten into it, don't worry. I just told you the only Morse code I know as well. However, 80 years ago, that was the only way they communicated. There was no voice. They didn't talk voice to voice on a radio. They used Morse code, or CW as it's known in the ham community. Because of that, there's a lot of phrases that have abbreviations, kind of like BRB today when you're texting. You know, BRB, everybody knows that stands for be right back. LOL, I'm laughing out loud. They did the same thing with CW to try and shorten how many times they had to click the paddle. Because you got to remember, not only do you hear nothing but ba 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 for SOS, somebody's having to paddle and make an electrical contact circuit to get that to happen. So they took long sayings like, hey, where are you at? And they turned that into QTH. What's your location? So QTH, to type 3 letters in Morse code, is way easier to type than spelling out, where are you located? So in this video, we're going to break down the most commonly used Q codes, or shorthand abbreviation for things that we say in ham. Stay with us. We'll be right back, okay? All right, hey guys, it's Justin, KQ4CIA. I'm back. So we're going to jump right into getting into the most commonly used Q codes. If you have any questions, feel free to do a Google search, type in amateur radio Q code, or you can go to the ARRL's website, and you can actually find a printout sheet there of the most commonly used Q signals, or Q codes, or abbreviations. So some of the most common ones you've probably heard me use on my channel are, I'm going QRT, QRT. QRT means I'm stopping. I'm going to stop sending my signal. Or should I stop sending my signal? But when I use it, I'm referring to, hey, I'm going to stop. And normally I say that whenever I am activating a park and I'm doing a POTA activation or a Parks on the Air activation, and I'm inside of a park and I'm talking and it's time for me to leave, or I've reached my goal and I'm just going to go. But I don't just stop talking on the radio. So other people know that I'm leaving, I announce I'm going to go QRT. And QRT, simply put, just means I'm going to stop. I'll see y'all later. But it's only 3 letters. Another common one that you might hear me use is QSY. And QSY is pretty simple. It means I'm going to change the frequency I'm on. So you can say, I'll QSY plus 3. What that means is if I'm operating on frequency 14.310, if I say I'm going plus 3, that means I'm going to 14.313. So I'm going QSY plus 3. I'm moving up 3 kilohertz. And that just lets everybody know, hey, I need to change my frequency because I might have some kind of noise interference, or I might have somebody else that their signal's close to mine, and I can hear some bleed over from their frequency onto my frequency. So there's a lot of possibilities for why you might move frequencies. But that's what you say. It's QSY, and that means move frequencies. Sometimes you'll ask other people to QSY. You know, if you're talking on the radio, and one of the beautiful things about ham radio is nobody owns the frequency. We all have the right, if you are inside of your band plan where you're legally allowed to operate within your ham license, nobody owns any frequency. So you can talk on whatever channel you want to talk on, and there are some things that you need to be cautious of. But for the most part, you can talk wherever you want inside of your frequency range you're legally allowed to transmit on. So if somebody starts talking on the frequency and they're interfering with me, and I've already been there, by the law, I have the right to the frequency and they should move. So instead of just being mean and saying, oh, you got blah, blah, you just ask them politely, hey, the frequency's in use. I've been here for, I don't know, an hour. And if you don't mind, could you QSY? And that just means, hey, I've been here for a long time. I'm already talking. And I'm on the frequency. Do you mind changing your frequency? And sometimes people ask you to change frequencies. There's a net that starts every day at 10:30 in the morning on frequency 14.325. It's an established net. Those guys are there every day, 7 days a week. So if you're talking on that channel, they might come in and say, hey, listen, we have a net. We normally have 30 or 40 people. Do you mind QSYing a little bit? And so it's up to you. You legally don't have to, but I typically do. If I know I'm going to interfere with a net where there's going to be a lot of people, I'm gonna move. Some nets are very rigorous. They stay on the same frequency. They don't care. They're going to ask you to move. And other nets are going to move their frequency and change where they're at. I'm a member of a bunch of clubs, and I'm a member of clubs that do it both ways. One of my clubs, they'll move around for 10 minutes trying to find an open frequency where we're not getting interfered on and nobody's interfering with us. And another one of my nets is going to talk on the frequency. And that's it. I don't understand it, but that's not my decision to make. So that's pretty much the only things you probably regularly hear me say. Man, that was a hard one for me. Regularly. Ooh. Wow. All right. So, need more coffee. So without any more delay, we're going to go down the list, and we're kind of going to go through them sequentially in order. The abbreviation QRG, Quebec Romeo Golf. What is your exact frequency? What frequency are you exactly on? Because sometimes people aren't on 14.300, they're on 14.300.05 or 019, whatever they want to go to. So you can, and you can kind of dial it in exactly where they're at to have the best signal. QRL. QRL is, I am busy. I'm busy. That's it. QRL. I am busy. QRM, that is that your signal is being interfered with. So you have some kind of interference that is not man-made. No, QRM is man-made, excuse me. I'm sorry about that. QRM is man-made interference. So if somebody else is interfering with your signal, then that's where that comes from. QRN, Quebec Romeo November, that one is, I'm troubled by static, or I have a lot of static noise here. And that's just radio noise. The band isn't great. You have the white noise or the snow effect in your ears. There's a lot of static crashes where you'll just hear that kind of noise. That's QRN. QRM is if it's man-made from another, whether it's somebody that's using a tuner and they're about to talk somewhere else and they're tuning on your frequency accidentally, not knowing you're there, or somebody is close to you in frequencies. If you're on 14.310 and they're on 14.311, they might interfere with your signal. So QRO, you need to increase power. You don't have enough power. I can't hear you well enough. Excuse me. QRP, decrease power. You have too much power. I can't hear you very well because it's so much power being driven. QRQ, this is a Morse code, typically. This is, shall I send faster? Do I need to speed up how fast I'm sending my Morse code? Or QRS, should I send slower? Do I need to send my message slower? And you can use this abbreviation whenever you're doing normal stuff. If somebody tries to make a contact and they speak really fast and you can't really understand their call sign because they just go Alpha Bravo 1 Delta Charlie, and you're used to Alpha Bravo 1 Delta Charlie, you can ask them, hey, slow down. I couldn't hear it. But instead of saying that, you could just say, can you QRS? So there's different ways. QRT, I've already told you that one. That one is, shall I stop sending or I'm done transmitting. QRU, I have nothing for you. Do you have anything for me? So I have nothing for you is the statement. Or, hey, do you QRU? Do you have anything for me? QRV, I'm ready. I'm ready. QRX, we're going to schedule another time to talk. I'll call you at. You call me at. QRZ or Z or Zulu, you're being called by, somebody's calling you, and you tell them what frequency they're being called on. So that could be, you know that your buddy's operating on this frequency, and you heard somebody else over here asking for him. You can just tell your buddy, hey, somebody's calling you over there. Now we're getting into QS. So QSB, your signal is fading or the band isn't going well. Signal strength is coming and going. QSK, I hear you in between the signals. You're kind of breaking in the transmission some. QSL is acknowledging receipt. That's another one I should have covered in my commonly used ones. So if I'm activating a park, doing a POTA activation, or parks on the air, and somebody gives me their call sign, Alpha Bravo 0 Delta Charlie, Jerry in Missouri. If Jerry calls me, I can say, hey, Jerry, did you copy my part number is, 123. I could say, hey, did you QSL? And he'll say, Roger, QSL. And that lets me know he confirms. QSO, can I communicate with somebody directly? Right? It's called a QSO, or we did talk to. QSP, I'll relay a message for you to somebody else. QST, it's the general call preceding a message. So if you were broadcasting a message for everybody to hear, you were going to call QST, QST, QST. And that means anybody that can hear you should stop what they're doing and listen. It's not necessarily an emergency transmission, but it is meant for something that is meant for a lot of people to hear. And remember, by the rules of ham radio, we can't broadcast a signal for the masses. We're not a broadcast station, we're a communication station. QSX, I'm listening to something on this frequency. QSY, that's change frequencies. QTC, I have a message for you. QTH, again, we covered that one. That one is my location. And then QTR, QTR is something that I needed in my last video. I didn't know what time it was. QTR is when you ask for the time. And typically somebody's going to give it to you either in their local time or in Zulu time. So you gotta be prepared. If you're talking to somebody in Hawaii and you're on the East Coast of the United States, remember, they might not give you the same time, and odds are their time's not going to be the time you're in no matter what happens. And that's it. That's the most popular abbreviations. For me, I use POTA a lot, and POTA stands for Parks on the Air. You can go to the website parksontheair.com and find out more about it. I highly recommend it. I hope it gets millions of people that aren't involved in ham radio, because I thoroughly enjoy going to a park, sitting on a picnic bench, watching water, watching boats, or being in the middle of the woods. Nothing around me for miles, and talking on the radio. It's so neat to me. Another one that you might hear me use a lot is CQ. CQ is I'm beginning a transmission and I'm asking for anybody to talk. So if you listen to the radio, you'll hear people that want to talk to anybody anywhere say CQ, their call sign. So for me, I'd go CQ, Kilo Quebec 4, Charlie India Alpha, calling CQ. And that lets everybody know that can hear me, I'm just looking to talk to somebody. And that's about it. And then when I'm activating a POTA or a Parks on the Air, and I'm in a park, I'll say CQ, POTA, CQ POTA. CQ Parks on the Air. This is KQ4CIA calling CQ and listening. And that lets everybody know, hey, I'm calling CQ. I'm in a park. If you want to talk to a park, come talk to me. I'm ready. But that's it. That's the abbreviations. Nothing fancy. There's not many of them. Almost everybody has a cheat sheet of abbreviations somewhere in their shack or where their radios are. The shack is what we call our little radio room. Most people's shack is their office. Mine is my office. But that's it. I will go through and give you a bonus real quick. I'm going to go over the International Phonetic Alphabet. This is not set in stone, especially once you get into DXing. And the reason I say it's not set in stone, even though it's the International Phonetic Alphabet, it's the alphabet that all pilots must use. All pilots must use our alphabet with our words using R1 through 9, including zeros. But there are some words for some dialects that people can't say well. And it's just, they just can't say them well. And it would be like me trying to read an Asian person's name. Probably can't do it. Okay, I can't do it, realistically. So, it's you might hear substitutions, but I'll go through the phonetic alphabet real quick. A is Alpha, B is Bravo, C is Charlie, D is Delta, E is Echo, F is Foxtrot. Sometimes you'll hear Foxtrot used as only Fox. G is Golf, H is Hotel, I is India, J is Juliet, K is Kilo, L is Lima, M is Mike, N is November, O is Oscar, P is Papa, Q is Quebec, R is Romeo, S is Sierra, T is Tango, U Uniform, V for Victor, W is Whiskey, X for X-ray, Y Yankee, and Z is Zulu. And you will hear a lot of substitutions. Z will sometimes be called Zed, Zulu, or Zanzibar. I don't know why Zanzibar makes sense, but Zanzibar will also be used. If you're DXing a lot, sometimes people will use I, they'll say Italy, C, Canada, A, America. golf, you will hear golf. Oh gosh, what's another good G one that I hear frequently? I'm sorry. Germany. A lot of times it's countries. It's other countries that they'll assign. H, hotel or Henry. Bravo sometimes will be a baker. Delta's normally Delta. Like I said, Foxtrot, every once in a while you hear something different, but normally a Foxtrot isn't said, it's going to be Fox. Juliet, I've heard a lot of people use a lot of different things, but Juliet's pretty common. Kilo, you'll hear kilowatt. I hadn't found anything on it. It makes some people mad that people say kilowatt instead of kilo. I don't care. I don't care what you use. Use something I understand, and that's the whole point of the phonetic alphabet. If you have, B, D, M, N, everybody knows sometimes you can't hear the difference between, the B and the D and the M and the N. So if you're using those and you use a word I hear the difference in between, I don't care. I'm never mad. I hope you have a great day and you use what works for you. And remember, some words aren't easy for other people to say. So that's why they might not be saying them. Anyway, guys, just thought I'd give you a heads up on what you might hear on my channel or other people's channels. And what you also might hear if you have a scanner or a radio and you're listening to ham radio and you're not proficient in the Q signals yet or the phonetic alphabet. Anyway, guys, this is KQ4 CIA Blackbeard's Radio. I'll talk to y'all later.